Even Uthokozani, throw them.
Thorn matchup between two of the top flight's most enduring forces as Kaizer Chiefs and Le Montfort Golden Arrows come face to face for their 50th league meeting in the PSL era. With that, a very warm welcome to the iconic FNB Stadium. The Amakosi diehards have waited 44 days to see their team in action again. Well, 13 years ago, this particular venue was the stage for the Africa Cup of Nations showpiece. There have been 6 editions since then, the most recent of which concluded only a couple of days ago now. And with the drama in Morocco now in the rearview mirror, we make a very welcome return back to our staple diet with domestic matters resuming yesterday. Mamelodi Sundowns moving to the top of the Betway Premiership standings with a win over Orbit College. And tonight the spotlight on Kaizer Chiefs as they seek to stay within touching distance of the front runners. The Glamour Boys sitting 4th currently. They're 5 points behind the leaders, but they have the potential to climb 1 place tonight. The only other game on the fixture list today sees 3rd place Skokune host Stellenbosch in what is the latter's first game under new coach Gavin Hunt, and the former Chiefs mentor could do his old club a bit of a favour if he prevents Babina Noku from winning, which would then open the door for Chiefs to have a chance to leapfrog the Limpopo side. In 10th place, Arrows, they face this Chiefs side, our sides that of late have had the edge over Amakosi. Historically, Chiefs have dominated the tie, 24 wins to Arrows 14, but recently it's been a bit of a different story. Perhaps it's a bit redundant to look at the changes from their last match, which was almost a month and a half ago against TS Galaxy, but there are 5 alterations from that draw. 2 at the back. We have McCarthy and Munyani in for Marco and Solomons, both on the bench. Matlo's injured, so Ndlovu is in. Former Arrows man Pule Modi replaces Vilakazi. Lepo is in for Mayo. And William Shongwe will run you through the formations.
Makes a lot of sense for Chiefs to play on the front foot this evening, based on the fact that they've got the players to do so. Pule Modi, Lilepo on the right inside speaks volume of the attacking force that they do bring into this game tonight.
4 changes for Le Montfort Golden Arrows from their defeat to Amazulu at the beginning of December. The first is in goal. Takazani Mbanjwa hasn't played any of the last 5, but he's in for Ondani Ngobo. Phillips Van Roy and Sedi Dion, the top scorer in the league, all out through injury. Ntando Nkosi Mabasa returns from a long layoff. The versatile defender looks to be playing left back today. And then Pilani Kumalo and Tukazani Kumalo are both installed.
A lot has changed in the Arrows, the way they play. Transition play used to be the order, but now they're more steady. And one player responsible for all of that, Damini in that middle of the park. Very key tonight.
It's been a bit of a rough patch before this mid-season break for Mangomiti and his men, but they'll be looking to get on track against Kaizer Chiefs here this evening as we introduce you to our refereeing quartet of Moses Keswa, Tumi Muhlala, Given Letlaka, and Moreki Lekwapa will be the 4th official. Cedric Kaizer back on the bench alongside Khalil bin Yusuf. He was not present for the trip to Bombela, was Kaizer. He had just undergone a surgery, was not available. The young centre-half, Gianni, captaining the team once again, took over the captain's armband a few matches into the season and has pretty much kept it ever since. So a very interesting matchup, this one. We were saying historically it's Kaizer Chiefs who've had the edge, but of late the tide has turned over the past 5 seasons in favour of Arrows. They've won 6 of their last 9 meetings. Victory did, however, go the way of Chiefs in Durban earlier this season. Flavio Silva's very first goal for the club, separating them at the Moses Mabhida Stadium back in August. The Kaizer Chiefs celebrated their 56th birthday about 2 weeks ago. They will be hoping that they can, although a little belatedly, celebrate it with a win. Although historically they do have a fairly poor record at the start of a new calendar year, something we'll delve into a little as the match goes on. So as the Betway Premiership bursts back into life this week, we have a significant landmark in the story of Kaizer Chiefs and Le Mans Golden Arrows' 50th PSL era meeting in the league since Abafana Bestene's ascent to the elite division after the turn of the millennium. And we are up and running here at the iconic Calabash. Le Mans Golden Arrows last played a competitive game on the 2nd of December, suffering a 1-0 defeat to Amazulu. Although Junior Dion is not available today through injury, did miss a penalty in that particular game as Kaizer Chiefs look to get on the front foot. But all told, William, that means it's 3 league defeats in succession, and they were dispatched from the Carling knockout in the midst of that run as well. Happy 22nd birthday to Mdu Shabalala. He has 3 goals this season. We'll be looking to add to his tally. Interesting statistic about Mdu Shabalala is he's had more touches in the opposition box than any other player in the Betway Premiership this season. But Coach Cedric Kaizer says he just needs to do a little bit more with the ball in those dangerous areas. I wonder if you tend to agree with that, William.
Well, we'll wait and see. The responsibility is very big for the young men. Maybe not as young as we expect him to be. He obviously started very young, so in our minds he's remained a young player.
Ebelela Makwele is the 2nd most successful dribbles in the top flight this season, only behind the former Arrows development player currently with Amazulu, Kusikona Khadebe. Lilepo takes it well. Now looking for a route forward through Nilhang Mabwe. Last season, specifically in Globals, for SuperSport United, 1 possession more often than any other player in the league. Here he is, taking on some attacking responsibility.
Gets the opportunity to take a shot with his left foot, which was very impressive. Maybe it could have been better if he had fallen into his right, but very impressive that he got in on target to start with.
There is Ndlovu again. Ball's just run away from him. He'll be up against the likes of Rebecca Dlamini in the Arrows midfields. I was mentioning those ball recoveries, possession 1 last season. Dlamini's pretty high in that particular metric. In this campaign, there's only 2 players who've won possession more often than Dlamini this season. Nicely done by Mdu Shabalala, linking up here with Lilepo. Back to the Congolese. Mabwe. This is Kunika. To Munyane. Lilepo lets it run. Perhaps a little ill-advisedly. It's with Isak Cisse. He's picked a great pass here to Ndlovu, one of the most dangerous players in the league, especially when he's out wide like that. But this time hasn't quite come off for Sianda Ndlovu, who's created the most chances of any other player this season.
The big question marks, Grant, is when Chiefs loses the ball, which in the past have struggled to be able to recover. I think this is where they've suffered the most when they considered. That for me is the change that has since improved since the first phase of the season. That was much better. And the big question is, will it continue that way? But the other is with McCarthy playing on the left full back position. He's normally a link to the center when they play with 3. But today, in the absence of Marco, he's like an out-and-out fullback. Will he have the energy?
This is a good move from Kaizer Chiefs. That's defending from Arrows, good enough to snuff out the chance for Flavio Silva. Well, speaking of Aiden McCarthy, Paseka Marco is on the bench today, but as they say, horses for courses, William. Deploying McCarthy in the left-back role. Not to say he hasn't played there before, he has, but he will adopt a more circumspect approach to the role because of his centre-half influences, and they don't necessarily this evening want a player who will get upfield as frequently as Mark.
A little sided then, if I may put it that way. If you look at the Munyane who likes to push forward, there's also Lilepo just in front of him. So there's going to be a whole lot more on the right. And on the left-hand side, Modi is not in our left. He's right-footed. He plays as an inverted. So he'll be cutting into the inside every now and then. Now that for me will be the big concern. Who's going to be there to deliver the crosses? We wait and see.
Ball with the Inacio Miguel. Randa took some punditry work during the Africa Cup of Nations, broadening his horizons. Did a pretty good job as well, I thought. Angola international, though he hasn't had a look in with his national team for quite some time. Here is Pule Mori up against his former club. He swung it in well for Lilepo, who can attack it in the air. Hacked away just ahead of Silva, and now the ball going in favour of the visitors.
I like the pairing of Maboye and Glove in that middle of the park. You'll be surprised that Maboye is more offensive, but today he's the one that will be staying a bit because Glove has that much energy and aggression to occasionally push forward.
Just turning the ball around the corner there, looking to get it moving on the flank. He has been so impactful this season at Lobo, although before this mid-season break, perhaps his influence had just waned a little bit. But he is still, by some distance I might add, the best chance creator in the league. 33 in total, 25 of those have been from open play. Here's Mdu Shabalala. He has the next most chances created in the Betway Premiership, but with just 23. Nice little flick from Mabue. Finds Shabalala. Now Mori. He's got it into the box, but not enough on that cross. Easily cleared away.
I like what I see from him, because a lot of the time when he gets to break, he always stops and turns around to his stronger right foot. But this time he took the chance and went with the run and eventually delivered a decent cross.
That's been worked out to him once again. Now Shabalala and Glovu. Back to McCarthy. Quickly to the feet of Kunika. Space re-emerging for Pule Mori. Little 1-2 with Mdu Shabalala. Now he's found Mabue just over the top. Did take a deflection though, but it didn't. The Chiefs players stuck around because they were convinced it was a corner kick.
So it looks like it is.
Initially Tumi Motlala ruled a goal kick, and then on the advice of the on-field referee, he's overturned that, and it now will be a corner.
I think it was Lamini with the block.
Interestingly, Kaizer Chiefs, one of two teams, along with Skukuni United, who are yet to be involved in a goal from a corner, meaning they haven't conceded one and haven't scored one in the league this season.
A little bit disappointing because Lilepo scored from set pieces. Yeah. That looks higher, almost like from the corner spot, so you'll expect him to profit from corner situations as well. And it's not for a lack of aerial presence in that box in the case of set pieces.
Good harrying and hassling here from Le Mans for Golden Arrows, but Munyane escapes that situation. Now Ele turning it infield via his head. Dlamini back to Ele, giving the ball away cheaply. Mabue, Ndlovu sends it down the line for Lilepo. First time cross draws the corner.
Brilliant. It was at a time when most of the defenders in the center were facing their own goal, and it's the best time to cross the ball because it's very difficult to defend with the ball whipped in that pace. And that's what you want to see a whole lot more from Lelepo. He's got the pace, he's got the quality of decent crosses.
And on short, Zimbabwe looking to swing it in. Coming off Ayabulele Makwele and out for it's another corner, which again has been taken short. Dushabalala. There's attempted pass cut out by Bilane Kumalo. Kumalo along with Ndlovu, both have 4 assists this season. They're one of several players on 4 assists in the Betway Premiership over the course of this campaign. Marshall Miguel for Aidan McCarthy, driving it forward, misplaces his pass, which was intended for Flavio Silva. Since his injury near the beginning of the season, where he was getting a lot of game time, he's found it harder to break into Cedric Kaizer's starting 11. But finds himself deployed in the left back, a hybrid left back role today. This is Miguel, turned 30 last month, finds McCarthy. Back with Inacio Miguel. Would have been very disappointed in their previous game, William, against TS Galaxy, not to come away from Bombela with all 3 points, considering how many chances they created, considering how many shots they had in total. They did manage to avoid defeats in their final game of a calendar year for the 26th year in a row, but I think that would have been very little consolation on a day where they restricted TS Galaxy to just 2 shots, none on targets. They themselves had 26 shots, including those that were blocked. 8 of them on target. They drew a season-high 8 saves from Iratape on the day.
Now, when they got man of the match, Ira.
Yes.
And yes, Chiefs had no business not getting all 3 points from that game. But sometimes, as a team, you want to see an improvement in the way that you play. The creative nature of chances up front, and that's what Chiefs did. It's a little unfortunate that it only happens with the last game, and you'll have expected maybe for that to continue in other games as a build-up from that game. It wasn't to be.
They do have the 2nd worst conversion rate this season, despite the fact they've managed more shots on target than any other team, 71 coming into this match. Only 8% of their total shots have been converted as Takasani Mbandra comes for that one, clatters his own player. Might need to halt proceedings here, but quickly up to his feet. The man who's returning, having last played all the way back in September. I'm talking, of course, with Mabaso, 21-year-old from Peter Maritzburg. This is his 4th start this season since signing from Midlands Wanderers at the beginning of the campaign.
So just a moment ago, Ndlovu being able to hold on to the ball under a lot of pressure, and that's the difference that he brings. He's able to keep the ball and eventually release it to a Chiefs player, which helps with the progression of their build-up play, something that I think in most of the previous seasons the Chiefs didn't have. There was a lot of ball possession given away in that middle of the park, and that's obviously cost them in a big way because they conceded a lot of goals from such situations.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I can't quite remember, but I do think they led the league in goals conceded directly from mistakes, and they've ironed out a lot of those issues this season, as much as they are having scoring woes, I guess, in a sense, just in terms of their lack of ability to convert. Their defense is looking a whole lot healthier. Last match against TS Galaxy, managed not to allow Galaxy a single shot on target. It's actually the 6th time this season they managed to restrict an opponent to 1 or fewer shots, something that they only managed 5 times across the whole of last season. So they've gotten really good at shutting down the opposition's main attacking threats.
What has improved? Other people are looking at the defensive pairing at the back to say maybe that's where the strength is. I'm saying it comes from the middle. If you're able to screen your back four good enough that they don't get exposed as much, then that just makes for a better team defensively. But even better, I think the rotation of the ball in that middle has gone better as well, also from the defensive line. So there's a lot of improvement that we've seen from Kaizer Chiefs in recent times, this season in particular.
Two potential takers here. Lebhang Mabue and Mdu Shabalala will be the latter. Shabalala putting it into a dangerous area, away, at least initially, from a Le Mans 4 Golden Arrows perspective. Now Shabalala combining here with Mabue again. Ndlovu. Munyane slings it forwards. There was a reluctance from Ndlovu to play that ball, to play a deep cross with all those big men upfield, which does seem like a wasted opportunity from their perspective. Now it will be an Arrows free kick in a very promising area here. It's Thokozani Kumalo brought down, the player with the best conversion rate in the Betway Premiership this season of anyone with 2 or more goals. He scored with 75% of his shots. He's taken 4 shots, he scored 3 goals.
Bit of a shove from Miguel to bring Kumalo down. But at least he does it from a long way off where it won't be such a big threat. I know it's a set piece, the threat is always there, but for me, it's nice and interesting to see a player making that decision way early before the ball gets too close.
So some work potentially here for Brandon Peterson, who leads the league in clean sheets. He's looking for his 10th this evening, and he comes out well to punch here. Already it's his best season in a Kaizer Chiefs shirt. Brandon Peterson eclipsing the 7 clean sheets that he managed in the 2022-23 season. Currently on 9. The last keeper to keep 9 or more was Itumeleng Kune back in the 2017-18 campaign. He took him 16 that season.
Sisse with the tackle. Silva is having a bit of a challenge. The service is not coming as much, and it's beginning to drop a little bit far too deep.
First of his goals for Kaizer Chiefs came as a sub in their first meeting with Le Mans 4 Golden Arrows this season at the end of August. That game played at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. About 20 minutes from time, he slid it home brilliantly after an assist from Gaston Serino. Gaston Serino is another who's out just nursing a little bit of a niggle at the moment, late fitness test which he failed. Thabo Tele also failing a late fitness test, and you have the likes of Dortley with that long-term injury still out. Others like Matlo and Cross not available either. This is Pilani Kumal looking long for the pace of Siandin Ndlovu.
Taking no chances is Makati.
Chiefs have a very testing fortnight coming up. They're off to Zambia this weekend to face Zesco United in the CAF Confederation Cup. Then they return home to face Maruma Gallants in Bloemfontein midweek. They're away to Stellies in the Nedbank Cup. They're hosting a Confederation Cup match subsequent to that in Polokwane. So a lot of travelling, a lot of matches, but also a lot of travelling. 5 games in the next 14 days.
And I guess that will be the case for most of the teams. Remember, the Nations Cup took a big chunk of the opportunities for games to be played. So there's a lot of catching up that needs to happen.
Cleared away by Ignacio Miguel. Ndlovu slipping it through brilliantly. A couple of players in the box. Will be another throw-in. Kaizer Chiefs have been very good at the back this season. Second best defensive record. Only Orlando Pirates have conceded fewer goals, 5 to Chiefs' 6 in total.
Impressive.
What I think is more impressive, if you look at the same stage last season, William, 13 games into the season, Kaizer Chiefs had already conceded 14 goals. So there's a marked improvement on that particular number.
The story, of course, doesn't only end there. Is you look at the difference between Mamelodi Sundowns on top and where Chiefs are. Only 5 points is the difference. And that's why a win for them is so key. But equally so is a win for Arrows, who has had great moments. Maybe they started badly, but things improved in a big way. They started picking up points and along the way beating Mamelodi Sundowns, and I think that's where things changed a bit in their favor. So it's a team that has the potential. When you talk to Mangoba, he says, my biggest problem is from mistakes, individual mistakes.
There's Shabalala. He's fed it through for Silva, who cuts it back. Pule Mori. Now Shabalala again, trying to work the space, but instead chooses to lay it off to Mabue. Now Monyane. Forced behind for a corner kick.
I think Silva it was that had the ball in front of him, but there was just not much opening for him to squeeze a shot. And we got to give it to Arrows in reacting that well to make sure that every possible space or hole was blocked for that ball to be played through. The recovery from a loss of ball position as well has been excellent from Arrows since Mongoba took over.
Outswinging delivery from Shabalala. A lot on that. Met by Lilepo, but not particularly well. To Shabalala, 1 goal away from equaling his best ever tally in a league campaign. He did play every match last season, scored 4 goals in the Betway Premiership. Kumalo couldn't hold his run though. His namesake, Tokozani Kumalo.
Yeah, that's a very scary moment. If you look at the high line Chiefs had there, and the sharpness of the official on that far side came to Chiefs' rescue and being able to raise the flag timelessly. He was in line, properly positioned to pick up the offside.
I would say forced to field Tokozani Kumalo from the start because of the absence of Junior Dion. He's many would reckon a better impact player. Did come off the bench in a 4-0 winner from Marumo Gallants to score twice.
Player with 7 goals, you want him in the field of play.
Yeah, big miss not to have Junior Dion. Now this is Ndlovu. Manages to dig it out from under his feet, but nothing to test Takazani Mbandra this time around.
Another attempt with his left foot again. This time he doesn't find the target, but there's good power behind that shot.
Scored the match winner on match day 2 against Polokwane City. Did specifically Ndlovu off the bench that time around. Let's just look at Kaizer Chiefs in terms of how well they've done in shutting out the opposition. The 6 goals conceded, the 9 clean sheets that they've managed. Ndlovu on Ndlovu, and the call has not gone his way. Zito Konika coming barreling in to protest on behalf of his midfielder, and it looks as though specifically Ndlovu is not going to escape without a booking here.
It looks like though the player's reaction to that is like first look at it, first glance at it, looks like he got the ball. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why such a reaction from the rest of the team.
It's the man they call Squishy. Siamden Ndlovu, 7 goal contributions this season. He's had some in particular, the game that they lost away to Stellenbosch towards the end of October, where he scored and managed a couple of assists. Brilliant goal that he netted against the Winelands club. They've really been having a tough time on their travels, Mangomamiti's men, yet to win in the Betway Premiership away this season. 5 defeats, 1 draw. They have the fewest points on their travels of any team. Only point they've managed in a 1-1 draw against Durban City. That was all the way back in August, and they have lost their last 4 away games, but they have a chance here from this set piece. And it comes from Pele, the best delivery.
Now, I don't know if you've been able to pick this up. I can tell you the time that Chiefs are in trouble is when they lose the ball, even in the offensive half. What happens from there is Arrows, I think, have picked the moments to say it's the best time to be able to place that ball in attack, and that's where Chiefs have been forced to turn and chase. And the 2 moments where they were really under pressure came from moments where Chiefs was holding a very high position and unable to apply the high press to win the ball immediately. And that, I feel like that problem should be solved in that middle of the park. They should be better at applying the high press, because when Arrows come out, they come with speed. They choose the moments to play the ball forward with speed.
Ball flying across field here for Makwele. Lucky to see that skip away from him. Miguel to Quinica. Khumalo pressing him. That's one thing they're missing with Junior Dion as well. He's displayed his willingness to press this season, as evidenced through the fact that he has committed more fouls than any other player. Junior Dion absent today. That's not just at Arrows, that's any player in the Betway Premiership this season. Good work from Dushabalala, combining with McCarthy. Gets it to Lilepo. It doesn't quite make its way through to Lilepo, and Arrows have it back. Philani Khumalo.
And those are moments that Chiefs have struggled with. This time they get it right. They're able to recover into those positions. They get the ball back. But I think it took a little bit of time for the ball to be released on the front foot by Arrows. Seen great moments from such situations.
Glovo has been responsible for a couple of shots. Kaizer Chiefs have tried 7 already. Only 1 has hit the target yet.
And am I right in saying that Arrows hasn't had a single shot?
They have not had a single shot, nor have they even had a touch in Chiefs' box yet. But as we have learned over the course of the season, they often only need 1 or 2 clear-cut opportunities. Second best conversion rates in the Betway Premiership. Only TS Galaxy have a better conversion rate than Bafana Bastendo. On the ball now. Tukazani Khumalo goes down. Rebecca Plamini takes over. This is Pele. But he used his hands to control there. Flava de Silva. And indeed that is the case, as confirmed by Tumi Mahlala on the near side flank. Silva does have options, looks to be setting it up for a long-range strike. Mbandra spilling it, but able to recover quite quickly with Mori bearing down on him.
And his concern is the amount of time that Silva was given on the ball. Once it turned, he pushed it, I think, twice before he could take the shot, and there was no immediate pressure from Arrows. Big concern from Mbandra.
Takisani Mbandra has played only once previously against Kaizer Chiefs, and that was in a victory for SuperSport United last season. You might remember Morris scored in that particular game. Let's have a look at his handiwork here.
Understand exactly where his concerns come from. He makes a save, very uncomfortable, but yes, too much time for Silva on the ball.
Chiefs pressing forward once again, doesn't break kindly for Monyane. Mabaso able to clean up with the help of Mbandra, although that wasn't the most effective clearance. Sat on the bench 6 times in the league in games against Kaizer Chiefs before he eventually got his shot last season. Managed to keep a clean sheet. What is his only ever outing against them?
Pecking order is very tough at Golden Arrows.
Yeah, it is.
3 top keepers, which includes moreover the Namibian international, and Noble played most of the games last season, or should I say the first half of the season.
If I'm not mistaken, Noble was keeping goal in one of the games against Chiefs previous campaign. Yes, Lilepo tries to get it in. He gets it back a little fortuitously. Second fixture of last season, Arrows as hosts, they won 2-1. It's a game in which Yusuf Mart failed to convert an early penalty. Then Duduzo Sabir, who's currently out with an injury, scored. Mart equalized, and Knox Mutizwa, the now departed Knox Mutizwa, who is the top scorer in this tie, by the way, getting the winner in that particular game. But you're talking about the quality there in terms of keepers. Mayowa present that particular day. He's got one little look in midway through September when he came on for red-carded Nobo against Polokwane City. Otherwise, it's been all Nobo and Mbandra. Mbandra took over for the next, I think it was 6 games in a row in all competitions before then Nobo regained the gloves.
I'm just trying to think of the option that Chiefs does have going forward come the second half on the left-hand side. Velebai. Yeah, that game's against TS Galaxy, he was unbelievable.
And it comes again from the corner. Mbandra snatches at it. It's a little shaky at first, but has it in his clutches and has been able to bowl it out here to Ayabulela Makwele, who does have space. National Miguel racing back. Here's Cisse. Makwele again. This is good for Kumalo. From the tight angle, lashed a shot towards goal. Off target, tried to sneak it in Peterson's near post.
Beats the offside trap, and sometimes goalkeepers don't expect the ball to be squeezed from such a tight angle, so there's always that small chance for that ball to go through or to have the keeper beaten.
News from the only other game on in the Betway Premiership this evening, and former Chiefs coach Gavin Hunt at the moment doing his old side a little bit of a favour because he has Stellenbosch into the lead. There's another former Chiefs man involved. Daniel Cardoso scored an own goal, so Skukuni behind on their own patch. It's good news for Kaizer Chiefs because it means it does open the door for them to go into 3rd position. Kumara finding Gianni. Nicely forward. Lifted brilliantly to Mabaso.
Looking solid, this Golden Arrows.
Yeah.
Once again, I mean, for Da Silva to be minimized into a spectator in attack tells a lot about just how little space he has to maneuver.
If you look at the defense of Le Mans for Golden Arrows, not lining up currently as they purported to do on the team sheet, which perhaps not too much of a surprise with Mabaso having played so many matches as a centre-back for Midlands Wanderers. Does look like he's partnered with Kumara as well, with Gianni almost occupying the right-back role, and then naturally on the left-hand flank where he is very willing to get forward. So, Ignacio Miguel into the referee's book. It's not an all too uncommon sight. That is his 6th yellow card in the Betway Premiership this season.
Well, he gets skinned proper by Ndlovu. And if you look at what was happening behind, there was no immediate cover, so I guess Ignacio was forced to go out to commit that foul at the very high expense of the card.
Gets it forward. Open can't turn it on. Remember that's Mfana Bastenda trying to snap what is a 4-game losing run on their travels. Really struggled away from home this season. It's actually the first time they've lost 4 away games in succession in the league since the 2013-14 season, and I think you can remember what happened there, William. They actually went on a 10-game losing run away from home and were relegated in that particular campaign. But perhaps one positive is that they have scored in 5 of their 6 away games this season. They only failed to do so against Skakuna in a 1-0 loss back in September. And with that said, they have had a very good recent record away to Kaizer Chiefs in particular. So there's definitely the potential for them today, especially considering the way they like to play, as Ndlovu seeks to cause havoc once again. McCarthy goes to ground brilliantly to win the ball from him. And Chiefs are on the move. With Modi down the flank, gets the little return from Lilepo. And they get the free kick.
Well, Modi's not happy with the foul. He's saying there should be more than just a foul. A card at least. Sees the player that committed the foul. Been impressed with his defensive work, but also in being able to pick the right moments to go forward. 2 goals to his name already this season. Tells the story about just how much he understands the tactics, the right moment to go forward.
Yeah, I was about to mention that he also chips in with goals too in the league, 1 in the cup as well. And that's defeats to Maruna Gallants on penalties. Kind of knockout. So the free kick delayed just a moment as 2 centre-halves, Kunika and Kumara, get a bit of talking to. Kumara was out for several games in succession after suffering a concussion as they contend with this set piece now, and it has been turned in. Well, the last touch appears to have come off the head of Aidan McCarthy.
Well, the Chiefs can celebrate in this case because there's no VAR, so there's no chance that can be reversed or that can be reviewed. And when I look at McCarthy, look to be slightly ahead, but I can't see exactly how many other players might have been ahead of him to cancel the offside call that the Arrows players are reviewing. Well taken set piece to start with. Good numbers in the box. It could have fallen for anyone.
There's an initial touch here. It does look like Lilepo turns it on.
But the Makati ahead, like I said, Chiefs can be very fortunate that there's no veer off. Except for that, it comes from the goalkeeper. But he has what they call in a far advantage. But just because the goalkeeper gets a touch, and I think that's what allows the goal to stand.
Now, Aidan McCarthy finally off the mark for Amakosi. Not just this season, but in his career. So, slightly fortuitous circumstances, slightly controversial, but the goal stands, and Kaizer Chiefs are up and running 5 minutes shy of the interval, and with Skukuni trailing Stellenbosch currently as things stand, Kaizer Chiefs into third. The crowd really getting behind them as Lilepo feeds Mabwe, who looks to put it back into a good area for him. There's a goal scorer, McCarthy. Probably not how he dreamt it, nodding over the line from close range. Look at this run. He's looking for what would be his first Chiefs assist, if I'm not mistaken, having just got that first goal.
I'm impressed. Remember, I had my concern about his ability to go forward. And there he is. He's got the energy and the moments, choosing the right moments to do so. And asking to the technical team of Kaizer Chiefs exactly how were they planning this is going to work. They said McCarthy's going to go forward. Don't worry about his lack of ability now and then, maybe running the line. But today, he's going to go forward. That was the message. And that's proof of it.
Almost giving it away here. Arrows living a little dangerously. Hoping to avoid what would be a fourth successive defeat in the Betway Premiership. Coming off that loss against Amazulu, which is actually among Robin Muti's 350th match in charge in all competitions, including his time as a co-coach, as Tanzania Mandra grabs holds of that one.
Another effort by Silva, but again it lacks the power.
Well, not since their win over Magesi at the very end of August have Arrows been able to come from behind in a league game to claim victory. In that game, Junior Dion equalized quite promptly, and then Kobeko Dlamini off the bench scored the winner. But they have come from behind a couple of times in cup matches this season against Skukuni United and TS Galaxy. So they do have that ability, but as far as the league goes, they have failed to win any of their last 6 when they have conceded first. Did win their last trip to Kaizer Chiefs. That was basically a year ago, the 12th of January, back in 2025, and they have won 3 of their last 4 visits here. Remarkable, because Chiefs only lost 3 of their first 20 home games against Le Montfort Golden Arrows, and have now lost 3 of their last 4. Just to illustrate, William, how the tide really has turned. Only victory over the last 4 times they've hosted Le Montfort Golden Arrows came in March of 2024. Wandile Duba getting what was his first ever senior goal, assisted by former Arrows man Pule Modi on that day. But right now it is Kaizer Chiefs in the lead in this, the 50th league meeting between these sides in the PSL era. They did have a few league meetings in the NPSL in the 70s. The original Le Montfort Golden Arrows, the one formed in Le Montfort back in the 40s, cross paths with Chiefs.
Well, can't help but think of some of the great names that would have featured in that team, the likes of Hendrik Teller, the goalkeeper, the late David Dolo, the striker. There was another Mfeka who also was playing in an offensive position in that team. Just to mention a few names.
I'm impressed because you would have only been a young teenager back then. Pilani Kumalo. He's asking a lot of Makwele here, and Inacio Miguel has enough gas to get across. So we've entered into 2 additional minutes at the Calabash. Currently Mamelodi Sundowns, after that victory over Orbit yesterday, at the top of the table, but Orlando Pirates, remember, they have 2 games in hand and they have no continental obligations, which is why many think that it is the Buccaneers' race to lose. Still a long way to go with him. Space emerging for the hosts once again as Modi lays it off here to Ndu Shabalala. Shabalala from a tight angle. Can't hit the target, but we know he's capable of twisting and turning in those tight areas. The goal he scored against Chipper 2 seasons back springs to mind.
Brilliant goal he scored against Amazulu in the first round.
Yeah. His first of the season.
From that same angle.
Yeah. Came at the beginning of October. Game in which they had actually gone behind, scored the equalizer about half an hour into the game, but neither side could find another. Now, this is Makwele racing onto it, waiting for some reinforcements here. He does need to get the cross in, which he's not managed to do, but it's perhaps a little lucky to get a corner out of the equation.
Once again, Ero's strength is being able to win the ball and play on the front foot immediately. And I mentioned the number of times that Chiefs has had problems dealing with that transition play from Eros. That spot over there is very wet, it's slippery.
Yeah.
Earlier on, the goalkeeper coach was trying to take some crosses from that position. He was falling all over the place. Let's see.
Still a few issues on the north side of the stadium, as is the case on the south. The dust flies up as the corner comes in. Brandon Peterson gets a touch on that. Gianni helping it back in. Strong header away from Lilepo. And the half-time whistle sounds. Kaizer Chiefs in the leads, courtesy of Aidan McCarthy's first for Amakosi. Takazani and Banjwe, just his second ever appearance against the Glamour Boys, has seen his goal breached for the first time in a first half where Arrows have had very little positives up front to speak about, William.